guys, welcome back. I am so glad to share with you that I have finally decided on a name for this series, The Poor Historian's Guide to Swords. So I'm done with it. Don't have to think about it anymore. It's finished. And today I wanted to share with you one of the most recent additions to my collection. I actually got it as a Christmas present, which is pretty cool. But it's actually a very affordable weapon, and I've had my eyes on it for quite a while. And actually has a bit of fascinating talking points about it. And that would be this right here. This is a weapon that you can purchase from eBay under the eBay posting title Schimitar. Not scimitar, Schimitar. It's S-C-H-I-M-I-T-A-R. I have no idea why they misspelled it like that, but I will post a link to it in the information down below the video. So that's pretty cool. You can actually see it's actually $22, $24, something like that. At least while I was watching it over the past year or so. So what is fascinating about this weapon in particular is that it can very easily be attributed to another name, one that's actually growing in popularity, and that would be the Polish Szabla. The Szabla is essentially the first well-documented European saber, or horseback weapon, or curved blade in such a way that it would be great for use on the back of a horse, and is the predecessor to the modern, this is 1800s, cavalry sabers that have become popular through the military nowadays. So, very fascinating. I don't want to go over too much of the history. I might post a video of it later on going into the history, but I would say that this weapon, as a representation of a sabla, would be appropriate for a 1500s and 1600s impression. So historically, it doesn't fit the standard sabla look for the 1500s. That one in particular has a few differences. The crossguard here would actually have more of an actual cross as opposed to this part just pointing down the blade. It would have another part going up. And in fact, the killians here would be a little bit longer. Now that's the standard one. There are examples that look almost exactly like this, but they are the less common variety of sabla for those centuries. So I want to go into a little bit of the details about this weapon. First of all, first impressions upon opening it were, one, it didn't come with a scabbard. Not too worried about that. We've covered swords that didn't have scabbards before, but of course it would be a benefit. The other thing is that it was not sharp, which is good. That means that it's intended not... if you're familiar with wall hangers, a lot of wall hangers come sharp because they're selling it to people who are not familiar with quality of sword, especially being shipped. So the fact that this was shipped dull means that it was at least in part intended for actual use, whether it's holding it and displaying it or not. And then the last thing I did notice, I actually haven't cleaned this sword yet, probably should. Got more important cleaning tasks going on, but I'm going to see if I can show it to you. You can see it actually came with some grime. I'm not sure if it's rust or just kind of oily buildup, but it is gross, and it's all down here. It'll come off pretty easily with a quick cleaning, but for those of you who might not be familiar with how to clean it, it's just a minor note. So one thing that is fascinating about this, let me start at the we already covered that it's dull. The tip is a little sharp up here, but what pointy piece of metal isn't? It does come with a fuller, which is very nice. But I did notice that it does not have any markings on it that indicate a modern make. It doesn't say made in Pakistan or made in China that you'd have to scratch off, which is very good. And also the weapon it's not shaky, it's not flimsy. You pick it up and you feel like it is a solid piece. Now in terms of actual handling it, that's another story. It is not perfectly balanced, if you will. This feels so incredibly heavy in my hand, like a club. However, keep in mind that this is intended as a cavalry sword, meaning you're not going to get the momentum from swinging it so much as riding your horse, and then even the tiniest little chop would have the momentum of the entire horse pushing through whatever you're hitting. So that's very nice. This is definitely not going to be good for your modern saber HEMA practice, in which you'd be doing like a flow like that. It's way too heavy. You'd break your wrist with it. But other than that, I think it is a good impression, a good representation of a horseback weapon, and it is, of course, solid. So let me do a little close-up on the grip here. Some fascinating stuff. One, it does have a more decorative crossguard, which is very nice. Also, the hand grip here is made out of what I'd assume is a hardwood. It doesn't feel like a softwood. Whether it is or not, it is stained in some way or another, or oiled. And then the guard as well, it does have, I think the common terminology for this style would be a falcon head grip, which is common in the 15 and 1600s, more popular in the 1600s, and I'm sure someone who has jumped onto the Sabla history bandwagon much earlier than me could give more detail about that style. Did start in a Middle Eastern style sword and then moved on to Eastern Europe, and then I believe eventually into more Western Europe. However, it does have one indication on the bottom, and you've seen this before with the India sword, and you won't see it, it won't be the last time you see it. It's this little nut down here at the bottom of the guard. That does indicate that the tang in the sword is weak, rat tail, whatever you want to call it. It would indicate that the blade tapers very quickly, has just a straight line going straight through the handle here, and at the very tip of it is threaded, and then this nut here would become unthreaded so I could take the sword apart. I don't want to do that because it's just exactly what I described, and it's a pain to get it apart and put it back together on video here. So honestly, this weapon has some awesome talking points. I have not yet brought it to an event. We haven't had an event between Christmas and now, which is the end of February. But we will soon, and I'm very excited to bring this to the event as a discussion piece, and possibly as an outfit piece if I am able to get a scabbard for it by that point. Very fascinating. I'd love to have a Polish impression. I'd love to get the whole, the whole garment with the cool little button things that I still haven't found a name for. I'd love to have that. But right now I'm sticking to Western European. So, overall, take a look at the grades that I'm going to be giving it after this video. This is going to be a fairly decent one, fairly high quality, very good talking points, solid. A few negatives, but I am looking forward to a decent grade for a poor historian sword. By decent, I mean C, maybe B-. None of the poor historian sword, unless you get really lucky, are gonna be well graded, because in the end they are lower quality than a perfect replica. So check the analysis out, share your thoughts. Does any of you have this sword? Share your feedback. I'd love to hear it. Catch you guys next time.